It's a Tuesday. Nothing happened. You got home around 11, put your keys somewhere you'll forget, opened the fridge and stood there without taking anything out. And then you notice what you've been doing for the last 20 minutes without deciding to do it, replaying 9 seconds. Not the conversation, not the part about work or the film or the person they used to date. 9 seconds. The way they paused before answering something, looked off to the side, then looked back. You've run it maybe 40 times. Nothing in that moment mattered, that it doesn't help. We usually describe this as being flooded, overwhelmed, swept up. The vocabulary is all water, something arriving from outside and covering you. And that's how it feels from the inside, which is exactly why it's worth looking at more carefully. The experience of being overtaken by a feeling is not the same as being overtaken by a feeling. For about 25 years, researchers have been putting people in scanners while they look at photographs of someone they've recently fallen for. The findings have been reasonably consistent across several labs. Looking at that specific face is associated with activity in regions deep in the brain that show up in a lot of other contexts: anticipation, pursuit, craving, the machinery of going after something, not the regions you predict if love were mainly a warm feeling. Brain imaging is a crude instrument, and a region lighting up is not a thought or an emotion. It's a statistical shadow, but the pattern is held up well enough to be interesting. And the interesting part is what it isn't. The signature of early romantic love looks less like the signature of contentment and more like the signature of wanting, which, if you've ever been in it, tracks. Because early love is not a pleasant state. People remember it as pleasant afterward. The way people remember travel is pleasant afterward. In the middle of it, you're not sleeping properly, you're eating badly, or not at all. You check your phone with a frequency you'd be embarrassed to have counted. You draft a message, delete it, rewrite it shorter, send it, and then experience the next 40 minutes as a physical condition. That's not happiness, that's hunger. Researchers who study reward have argued for a long time that wanting and liking are not the same system, that you can want something intensely without particularly enjoying having it, and enjoy something quietly without craving it at all. Most of that evidence comes from animal work, and extending it to human romance is an interpretation rather than a proven fact. But it makes sense of something people otherwise find confusing about themselves. Why the most intense stretch of a relationship is so often the one where you're released at peace. And here's the part that's harder to sit with. While all this is happening, your attention is doing something it doesn't normally do. It is narrowing hard onto one person. Everything about them becomes high resolution. The specific way they say a certain word, what their hands do when they're thinking, the 9-second detail on that scale feels like intimacy. It feels like knowing someone. It might not be. Attention makes things vivid, and we're not very good at telling vividness apart from knowledge. You have collected an enormous amount of information about how this person appears to you. You have collected almost nothing about how they behave when they're tired, or losing an argument, or disappointed in you, or bored on a Sunday in February. You have a very high definition image built from a very thin slice. Some imaging work has also reported reduced activity in regions associated with appraising other people critically. That finding gets quoted a lot, usually as proof that love is literally blind. It's a suggestive result from small studies, and it deserves more caution than it usually gets. The modest version is enough. Something about that state seems to make careful evaluation of the other person less likely, and you don't experience this as a gap. You experience it as certainty. That's the trouble. The certainty arrives with the same weight as any other certainty you have. It doesn't feel provisional. It doesn't feel like a state you're in. It feels like a fact you've discovered about a person. Now move forward 14 months, maybe 18, different apartment or the same one, and you're having the argument that couples have, and somewhere in it, one of you says, "You've changed," or thinks it, which is worse, nothing changed. They were always someone who goes quiet when they're stressed instead of saying what's wrong. That was true on the first night. You couldn't see it then because there was nothing on the screen except the parts of them you were pointed at. What's happened isn't decay, it's resolution. Information you didn't have is arriving, and it's arriving on top of a picture you were already sure about, and the mismatch registers as loss. Most of what people call falling out of love happens right here. And a lot of people leave at exactly this point, which is a reasonable thing to do if what you wanted was the state. The state is genuinely extraordinary. It is also, in every longitudinal study anyone has run, temporary in its intense form, that finding is about as solid as anything in this area. You can get it back, but not with the same person, because the mechanism appears to run on incomplete information, and you've now got too much. What replaces it is harder to describe, partly because English barely has a word for it. We say the spark's gone, which already frames the second thing as the absence of the first. There is some scanner work on people married many years who still report being intensely in love, and it found reward-related activity that looked broadly similar to the early stage, alongside differences in areas connected to attachment and calm. Small samples, self-selected volunteers, and you should hold it loosely, but it undercuts the standard story, the one where love is a chemical fire that burns out and leaves you with a roommate and a mortgage. Something can continue. It just isn't the same thing. The first one required knowing almost nothing. The second one requires knowing quite a lot and staying anyway, which is a different act entirely and doesn't produce the same physical symptoms and is much easier to mistake for the absence of feeling. One of them happens to you. The other one you have to keep doing on days you don't want to, which raises a question that most people never ask directly because it's uncomfortable in a specific way. That night in the kitchen, when you were sure, what exactly were you sure about? You'd known them a few weeks, you had almost no evidence. The conviction was overwhelming, and the conviction was mostly a report on the state of your own attention. If someone had asked you to justify it, you'd have said something about how they listen or a thing they said about their father, and you'd have believed it, and you'd have been describing about 4% of a human being. This doesn't make the feeling false. That's the thing people get wrong when they hear this. The feeling was completely real. It just wasn't about what you thought it was about, and being wrong about what a feeling refers to is not the same as the feeling being fake. But it does mean that the sentence, "I knew immediately," which people say at weddings and in eulogies, and which is one of the most beautiful sentences we have, is doing something other than what it claims. It isn't a memory of perception. It's a memory of intensity reinterpreted later as accuracy, because the relationship happened to work out. Ask anyone who's didn't. They knew immediately too. None of this is advice. There is nothing to do with it. You can't decide to see someone clearly during the months when you're least able to. And the people who claim they stayed rational about it were usually just less interested. It's a Tuesday. Nothing happened. 15 years on. You can still put yourself back in that kitchen, the light from the open fridge on your hands, the cold, the 9 seconds you kept running, and how you were sure with your whole body. In a way you have almost never been sure of anything since. What's strange is that you can't remember what they said in it. Not one word of it. You've told the story enough times that you're no longer certain which parts you saw and which parts you built afterward to explain how it felt. You keep telling it anyway. It's the closest you can get to standing there.